What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast 412, Fight for Purity. A bold way of looking at challenges that young people are facing. We'll talk about the naked truth of life and how to handle the problems you're thinking but not talking about. So strap in, get ready for another great podcast.
Welcome back to Season 3 of Podcast 412. To kick us off, we're going to have a fun fact with Elisa.
Okay, so our fun fact today is about the chromosomes, and we all have them. We have 23 pairs, 23 pairs.
Oh my god!
And then the biggest thing about chromosomes is, I guess, the way the easiest way to describe it is like a recipe for us, like our genes. We're all different, so we all have different hair types. We all have different heights. We all have different, whatever the gene may be. And then like I said, there's 23 pairs. So 1 through 22 1 through 22 determines like how I said, eye color, hair color, height, and all that. But the 23rd pair determines what sex you're going to be, whether you're going to be male or female. And then after that, yeah.
So what's the female and what's the male?
XX and then XY.
XX is female?
Yes.
And XY? Oh,
Yes. Is
the dude.
Is the male.
And as you'll notice today, we have an XY with us.
Oh my God!
Emphasis on the Y.
XY.
He's questioning his choices, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to
I'm not nervous at all.
we're trying to add some variety. So our first thing that we're going to do is we're going to define, because we're going to be talking about conduct. And so that sounds pretty easy kind of as far as definition goes. I didn't get anything super deep, but I'm going to go ahead and read what I got. It's kind of weird. I don't know if you guys can kind of maybe decipher maybe what it might mean. But it says to turn back, to return, and it says hence to move, in a place, sojourn, conduct oneself, one's life and character. Sorry. And that was, I was trying to read my own handwriting and I couldn't. So, one's manner of life and character. One's manner of life and character. So I took it as basically just life, but I think there's a lot that can go into that.
Yours sounds complicated.
Yeah. But that's what it means in the Greek.
Okay,
that's why.
Oh,
Okay.
everything changes once you start decoding the root words and all
So
that.
mine, because we're our foundation is 1 Timothy 4:12.
Right.
So I'm looking at it as the Greek definition. So that's what mine means. I looked at some other stuff, but I feel like that's a good starting point for that. So
Yeah, and then I looked up the Webster dictionary, and all it is just it's the standard of personal behavior. So that's it. That's what conduct means.
Very profound.
Just pretty much the rules you have for your own behavior.
and I was thinking, because we've been talking a lot about social media and everything. I was thinking to myself, well, when do kids or when do young people or what place do they actually conduct themselves? Where do they behave? You know what I mean? Because if I read that there's most teens or most young people spend 8 hours on some kind of electronic device. So I'm where is it that you're actually living your life or conducting or behaving?
Well, I think that's it's a multi. There's more than one answer because everybody has everybody has your own rules, I guess, for depending on where you are. You have rules for if you're at work, if you're at school, when you're at home, if you have divorced parents, one parent versus the other parent, when you're by yourself, and then you have your online rules. What kind of person are you? What kind of conduct do you have when you're
trying
online?
to be someone else?
Yeah.
Did that have an age bracket?
I don't think it did. I think I just looked under
Because I remember being a kid and playing video games. It was right before it became really this online. Obviously there were online games back then, but I already had maturity then to know basically how to conduct my own self. On video games and not even really connected to to other human beings, but even kids who are really young. who don't understand what it means to conduct oneself.
Yeah.
I mean, they're learning that from the people they're speaking to online, because they don't, and if they don't have a filter, then how are they getting that?
Like for me, like how do you conduct yourself? Like what does that look like online?
Right.
Like
Your speech, mostly.
Honestly,
like
I think that determines what are you doing online. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Where you're at, who are you speaking to? Like, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like, if you want to impress like some dude in East Asia, you know, you're gonna conduct yourself different wherever you're at. But then when you're here at home, and then you conduct yourself different in front of your parents or in front of your school friends.
yeah, I mean, like it changes. Like I mean, like. Because you know how in Fortnite, that's the game, you know, one of the games now. You know, you can play with your friends or you can play with strangers. And I'm sure you have different rules for how you conduct yourself when you're with your friends versus strangers.
Yeah.
I'm sure you trash talk more with one versus the other, you know?
Right.
So it's just like, I think online is different. And I think it kind of goes like we were saying before about how like when you're online, you tend to be more bold and more aggressive. Like the things you would say when you're playing video games or not online are not the things you're going to say to people face to face.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I could text my best friend, you know, my mom is this and that, you know, when I was a kid, you know, but then am I going to say that to her face? Oh. I don't think so. And that's the thing is like, you know, because when we say how we conduct ourselves, it's both what we say, what we do, you know, it's something that's both external, internal.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, and then when it exists in so many different platforms, you can definitely be like, even, you know, in the church world, you can be one way in church and another way at your work and another way at home. Like that's 3 different personalities in the real world. And how you conduct yourself, it's like it basically shows who you are as a human being.
Yep.
And even when I talked to one of my sons, I was asking them, "Are you like your true self? The way that you act at home, like all goofy and stuff, are you like that at school?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "Do you have any friends that you act like yourself around?" And he said, "One." And he said, "Because the other one, you know, they're both goofy, they're kind of like dorky and stuff. And but the other friends, when they're in this big group of people, he won't act that way because he doesn't want to be made fun of. He doesn't want to be ridiculed or whatever, you know." So
Definitely
I
can
think,
relate to that.
yeah. So he does act different in the school environment, and then at home too. You know, I'm sure he's not gonna go like hang on me and smell me like he does, you know, while he's around his friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Smell my hair and stuff.
He's gonna want to push you away.
Yeah.
And be like,
He's too cool for the affection.
Mom, please, in front of my friends.
Yeah, because that outward conduct, there's, like you said, there's a difference between that outward conduct and then that what's inside.
Like she said, your true self.
Yeah, like your true self, you know, like what are your motives like inside? You know, what's internally going on that you're either trying to portray or trying to hide or whatever. So
Yeah, so conduct is just like what you do on the outside. But it's also like there's rules, there should be anyways, like we've been saying, there should be rules for yourself that you probably follow all the time.
yeah.
Like there should be some set rules that you have, like a set conduct for no matter what situation you're in. I won't do this, I won't do that, I won't do this, or I will always do this.
But even like with online stuff, the other thing that I was reading was that a lot of kids don't know, or even young people, like how to read social cues.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like they don't know how to do that. They're like, what's that? Because they're not
familiarized with it.
with people like expressions or faces or
Like we were saying last time.
Yeah.
And like she said in that definition, it's rules that you set for
Yeah.
yourself. And in a world where you have no rules, then conduct is out the window.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's all about how do you learn to do that? How do you learn to do that? I mean, like when I was, like we say with your kids, when I was in school, once I started showing my true self, that's when people were like backing off of me, and they were like, okay, I mean, I can be like that now, and I don't really care what anyone thinks. But then like back then, it's like when you're learning how to conduct this yourself, it really does. It does hinder a lot of what you do because you just want to be seen a certain way.
Yeah, because even when I was younger, I mean, social media was starting to with MySpace and stuff. I used to put on there that I was 16 and I was 13. Yeah. You know, I used to lie about my age and stuff because I wanted to be older, portray that I was older, and I already looked older, so I could portray that as well. You know, I didn't want to be like this little kid, dweeby kid people didn't want to talk to, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, which is dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah, please.
Very dangerous.
But exactly, because you didn't like who you were.
Yeah.
You wanted, and exactly, you want other people to think, hey, what they consider highly.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes for anyone. I mean, that's the same way too.
Yeah. And one of the things that I noticed too when I went back to the word, at least when we're looking at it in the Greek, was it did talk about behavior, and we talked a lot about it, was conversation.
Yeah.
That was what it meant. Like when you look at it, when you read it, it says conversation. But that's more than just, obviously, there's so much
That goes into just
more to just talking. And then I know one of the things we talked about too, like how could we like kind of define, like where would you define conduct, I guess? Like in what places in your life do you express conduct?
Other than conversation.
Other than conversation. We know like in your conversation things come up, but what other way? Like
And the way you like walk or something.
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that could be like in work. I mean, you're not always conversating at work, but if you're just sitting there, like today, like my coworkers, they all split, and I kind of took that chance to relax in my chair and just kind of take it easy for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That itself is conduct,
Yeah.
especially if other people are there watching. Like then that reflects on you as the employee, and you're not saying anything.
Well, I think even in our thoughts, we have to conduct ourselves in a certain way in our thoughts, because our mind can go.
You can't just say whatever comes to your mind.
And then what comes out, conduct.
And I feel like that's where that whole conversation comes into play, because even like you said, even the way you walk, you're saying something about who you are, just walking.
Right.
Yeah, just walking like in the mall or just walking somewhere. You're saying something about your confidence, or you're saying something about
your non-confidence.
your state
Right.
of mind. Yeah.
And you hear people that say, like I listen to, the other podcasts of like former, people who mug people, and they say that's the way that they walked and conducted themselves just by walking down the street determined whether he was gonna rob you or not.
Yeah, if you're like confident and you know where
Right.
you're going, you're less likely a target, right?
Exactly, but if you put your head down and you're trying not to be seen, okay, that makes you a prime target because you're not gonna fight back.
Yeah, well, like last season we talked about how your communication, like with other people, was, what did we say, 80% nonverbal.
Yeah.
So like it's like your conduct isn't just what you said, like you said, it's just your facial expression too.
Yeah.
So like you have to think about that, especially as you get older, when you go to like your work, and if you're talking to your boss and your boss is like, you can't just show however you're feeling at that moment. If you think they're being an idiot, like, oh my God, you can't do that, that's part
so
of
dumb.
exactly, or like as a teacher, when my kids would say dumb things, I just have to, okay, alrighty then.
Settle down, Gerald.
So like conduct it's like so much, because it's not just walking, it's even how you dress. Like it says so much about you sometimes too, like I think we used the example before, like you go out, in your torn sweats and your like jacked up t-shirt and your hair just thrown up, as for a girl anyways, I don't know about you,
Sometimes. In the old days. I just wanted to be pretty.
Like people are going to assume you're a certain way based off of just your clothes, and that's unfortunate. That's just the way it goes. We're visual beings first.
If I show up to work in my camouflage shorts,
Yeah.
and my brown slippers, that's the same way I dress when I walk outside to go take the trash. That's like if I did that, a lot of people are gonna not want to be like. They get an automatic. Oh, this dude's either homeless, and I've gotten people think I'm homeless before. Like
me too. I have too. At Takano's for her birthday, I came in late, and the lady was on the phone. I came late from work, so I was a little disheveled, and
not unusual.
and the lady was on the phone, but I saw them, so I just walked right past her. And then she was like, ma'am, we do not have open restrooms here. And I was like, I'm with that group right over there. I was like, well then.
And it's not like she looked. Yeah. But I think what it was is that she had a backpack.
She had a backpack,
okay.
a big sweater. Her hair was thrown up.
Yeah.
And I had earphones in.
That's a good indicator. If you got a backpack, you're definitely going somewhere.
That person must be homeless.
I think that was the thing.
But I think that also made me confused is that my backpack isn't like a normal like school like JanSport backpack. It's a DKNY and it has like graffiti. It's that one over there.
It's
Yeah, it's like a purse. Like yeah.
Yeah, that does look kind of.
Well, and I mean, like, even that interaction, like, shows your own conduct. Because you could have been all, well, I am not homeless. Like, excuse me.
Yeah, barge into the restaurant and like take a
Started
few
throwing
boiled
food.
eggs. And you chose good conduct there.
Yeah. So the way you respond in conduct too, even to authority, people in authority, your teachers, your parents, like, is.
You know, if you have a pastor, like anybody.
The proof of your conduct comes out, especially in the eyes of authority, because if you're when you get pulled over by a cop, the first thing I do, put my hands on the wheel, make sure everyone got their seatbelts on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pretend to put mine on when because I know mine wasn't on.
I'm the one that will like hide like this when there's a cop like this way, and I'm like this, and I don't have my seatbelt on. I'm like,
You put your shoulder up all
like
high.
that.
You do the old.
Let me scratch while I'm driving by.
Oh no, officer, it was on the whole time. And exactly, that would make us liars, is conducting ourselves as liars. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I like what you said though, that your conduct comes out like with authority. Like when people tell you no. When people tell you no or when they disagree with you, that's when like your true self comes out. So
Or
like
when
if
they're
you're
correcting you.
Yeah, or when someone's saying, "Oh, you're doing that wrong," even if they're not saying it in a bad way, like depending on how you take it, it kind of shows you as just a person like, "Dang, man, I do not like being told no."
Exactly.
I mean, nobody likes being told no, but but I think just like knowing that about yourself, like understanding like, okay, if somebody comes at me this way, I don't take it well.
Your response to it,
Like,
it shows a lot about who you are.
Yeah, because you need to know that about yourself. Because sometimes like you're gonna be put into situations where you're like, you need to know I shouldn't be here because I don't know how to conduct myself correctly here, or I need to somehow get myself out of this situation because I'm not gonna make good choices.
Well, I think even that way, it takes like a lot of like humbling to be able to put ourselves in that spot first, because we're like, you know what?
I got this.
I don't act that way. I don't care.
Excuse me?
And
You're
you
telling
won't
me
learn.
no?
How dare
You won't learn some of that until you're in certain situations, and that's when you learn about yourself, and that's where you can correct it. So it's not that you don't ever go back into those situations; it's that you correct yourself, or you find someone to help you.
Yes. That trial by error. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's just life. Sometimes you figure out how to do the right thing by doing the wrong thing.
And you don't even know that that was in you. Sometimes like I'll respond, and I didn't know that was in me. Based on stuff. Yeah, like, oh dang, I didn't know
Who
that was
was
that bad.
that?
Just kidding. I didn't know she was still there. Just kidding.
I thought I fixed
I
that.
thought I killed you.
Yeah, and that all goes like into your character and your personality, like all those things like influence you, and even like your upbringing,
Oh yeah.
like how you were brought up. It really does dictate a lot about how you're gonna respond to certain situations. And sometimes I think you don't even, like you say, you don't even realize, that you respond a certain way or that you act or culturally, like all those things like have an impact on your conduct. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you just have to think about like because we all respond different ways.
Oh yeah.
Very
Some
true.
people are like way over the top, like way over the top.
Yeah.
But then there's some people that are more calm, more like okay,
level-headed.
yeah. So so just knowing like even that personality, and I think as a young person sometimes
You're still figuring that out.
yeah, you're figuring it out, and then you have all this stuff going on inside, like just
Your life anyway.
just physically,
Yeah.
like hormonally, and all these, you know what I mean, and so.
All these changes going on.
It's tough to be a teenager.
You don't know what's happening.
And even when you're just even young, not just a teenager, but even like young, trying to figure it out. So, but we're gonna like hopefully move forward. We're gonna look at like just different ways that we conduct ourselves. And you said stuff like that, even like in your mind, or just in natural life or at work or with your friends or relationships or with the opposite sex. We all conduct ourselves in a certain way.
Yeah. And so
we'll let you guys keep it going. Since
Well, it's pretty much kind of just it for this time, because we're just talking about what conduct is and kind of where we'll be going from here. So from here on out, we'll just kind of be talking about the different kinds of conduct, not just conversation, but and like what kind of rules you should or shouldn't have as a girl and as a guy, young or old. There are certain rules that all of us. We have to have rules. I'm sorry. We talked about that in boundaries in our very first season. Just there's got to be boundaries in life. And so we'll continue our talk on conduct next time.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Join us for our next podcast. You can contact us through Instagram at podcast412 or email us at 412fight@gmail.com. See you next time.